Hi, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of the Don Lemon Show. Grateful that you are here. Over the last 6 months, you surely heard many stories of people who have just been treated monstrously by the Trump administration and ICE. Comar Abrego Garcia, Hernandez Romero, and Mahmoud Khalil, just to name a few. There are many, many more. But believe me, so many more. This administration's depravity is far worse than you think. Today, I just want to chat with someone who can talk about all the names you haven't heard before, the folks whose stories haven't yet gone viral. This is an important issue, and we're grateful to have David Rozas here. David leads one of the largest removal defense firms in the country. He has been front and center in many of the biggest and most concerning immigration cases lately. David, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Thank you, Don. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so listen, let's get into it. So many cases that I want to dig into, and I said names and people that we don't really know about, that we don't hear about. This one is extremely concerning. A headline that I saw the other day, it's a Canadian man. His name is Johnny Novillo. He died while in ICE custody. Do you know anything now? And what the hell is going on with ICE?
No, I don't know. I know I saw that Canada is asking for an explanation, but I'll tell you, like, the ICE facilities are actually horrendous. Especially here in Louisiana, there are these old makeshift jails that were pretty much deserted after prison reform in Louisiana, and then they ramped them back up with these private industries coming in. With a total lack of oversight, in my opinion. And so the safety is definitely a concern, and the conditions are actually horrendous. I mean, my clients are telling me every day they're sleeping on a small cot, cold, sharing sheets at times. It's actually really surprising because I hear it from Americans all the time who think, no, they're given a cot and a bed and a TV, and it's not like a regular jail. I think it's actually worse conditions because there's no oversight at all.
Yeah, it's outrageous. We were speaking before, and you were saying that you can't believe this is happening. And I hear people say that all the time, that, oh my gosh, this is not America. But David, unfortunately, this is America. This has become America. This is the new normal for us, sadly.
I'm I think what I'm talking about is it's really surprising in the fact that, throughout my career in the last 21 years, we'd always come with this Supreme Court case or a Louisiana Supreme Court case or some type of oversight where we would, I'm not going to say win, but there would be some protection of the government's
Mhm.
overreaching power, let's say. And then I feel like it's the pendulum has swung where I thought this far right group was just a small group. And I'm learning that no, in fact, there's a lot of people who were in the shadows that are now in power. And it's hard to explain, but for the fact that, like, when I see posts on the internet that may be like pro immigration or pro protection of civil liberties, or just basic human rights that we all think and have come to take for granted, the plethora of thousands of comments of people of hate against just undocumented immigrants, it just blows my mind that I feel like there's unfettered discretion done by the U.S. government on the executive side, and that it's like not stopping. I keep thinking that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to see a U.S. Supreme Court case, or I'm going to see some ruling by the Board of Immigration Appeals that finally says, no, 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 this is too much. We have to protect these people. And even when there's a glimpse of hope, like when with Abrego Garcia, they order, hey, you should facilitate the return. It's like the U.S. government, the executive side says, so what? And it's like there's no recourse. Um,
They're not following federal judges in many of these cases. But I know that you're involved in this Muniz case where U.S. citizen's husband was detained during ICE mass deportation sweeps. Do you have a status on the Muniz case?
yeah, right now the case is just proceeding through immigration court. She's in what's called non-detained. So she was caught for like 45 days stuck in detention, which is one of the first cases that I had like that. That never happened before. If someone was adjusting status, even if they were a visa overstay and they were married to a U.S. citizen, there is great deference in this country to spouses and children of U.S. citizens. I have cases like this. I have cases of people who are currently married to military soldiers who end up getting detained. which, I had a case of a woman in Florida who got stopped for speeding. And then when they go to check in, they realize she's adjusting status. She was an overstay from Jamaica. They detained her and shipped her from Florida to Louisiana. And her husband is an actual, specialist, an E4 in the military. This is a guy that we are paying to represent us, to protect us, who's giving his life for this country. And yet his wife's being detained by the own country he is trying to fight for. It's it's a different world, I think, that we live in since January.
It's a different world since January. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? I know it seems like a rote question, but I think it's an honest one.
Look, I'll tell you, when on Trump, I call it Trump. Yeah, everybody does Trump 1.0. I saw this movement with the government of detaining people at the border. We had, we had the crossings still were high in the thousands per month, but everyone was being detained. They were changing the laws about people being able to be released on bond. But I didn't see this whole national movement that I see now. That's the difference. It's like, and I hate to compare it to 1941, but there's this feeling amongst the public that anyone who anyone who's had any inkling of being racist at all, that were hidden, or any type of anti-immigration belief, now it's
Mhm.
like they got a blank check to be able to feel that publicly, and there's no recourse. And so with that being there, I'm seeing like the police, I'm seeing ICE, and all these people being able to act within their own accord, with no fear of reprisal. Where back in the day, 10 years ago, if you did something that was racist or anti-immigrant and was filmed, it blew up on the internet. People would out them, it was politically incorrect. Now it's the norm. And that's really that sentiment is completely different. I find immigration judges now as a whole, these people are lawyers who took an oath for to uphold the law. And I think the immigration judges, I don't know if it's coming from above, but some of the cases, I'll tell you, like my student, the Iranian student last month that voluntarily left, who was a PhD student in University of Alabama. I mean, this is the guy that we've always wanted in America, right? This is what we claimed. We wanted the smartest, the most brightest, and that's how we created the atomic bomb.
This is the Derrudy case you're
Yeah,
talking
the
about, right?
Derrudy case,
Yeah.
and so
What happened? It's a heartbreaking self-deportation case. So
it's
tell us what happened.
horrible. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I still talk to him today, and I feel so bad because I constantly am apologizing for him. And you know what? I'm going to really go deep, Dom. It feels like when I was a kid growing up in Mamu, a small town in Louisiana. My dad was a prosecutor, and eventually he became a criminal defense attorney. But the thing is that I remember going as I got older and hearing people be racist, and it's like I knew that it was incorrect, and I felt weird. I felt weird in my own skin as a white person, let's say, growing up the way my dad was, and hearing these people in these back rooms, and yet it was like accepted, but we were in this alternate reality where I knew it was not accepted and was wrong. In today's world in immigration, I see it in the courtroom. It's clear racism against, or nationalistic views against, Iranians, against any Middle Eastern post 2001, especially Iran. And that's exactly what happened to Ali Reza. He literally just got screwed because he's from Iran. And the irony is the University of Alabama, which is in the South, right? They all were behind Ali Reza. They all wanted him out. You're talking about, doesn't matter race or anything. Everyone who worked for University of Alabama, all of the neighbors of that area, all constantly gave me support. Every professor, every like person who worked in University of Alabama, but I think a lot of them worried about the funding, the federal funding. They all were behind him. But it was clear that the judge, no matter what, had a decision. Either she was told from above, you will not grant this guy his ability to stay.
Do you
The
think
interesting
judges are afraid? Do you think let me ask you, do you think judges are being racist? Do you think they're afraid? Do you think they're getting orders from the top? All of the above or what?
so if you give me a chance to go a little deep into this case, you'll see
Yeah.
why I think it's not only do I think it's just clear racism and just anti-Muslim, anti-Middle Eastern policies that there's a thing called CARP, which is this theory. It's basically that the U.S. government tries as much as they can in every which way to stifle and stonewall Iranian immigration procedures in the United States, and like just as a whole, and it's been that way for a long time with Iran. But in this instance, for example, when we were getting to the point where the judge was trying to decide whether he was removable, meaning he was out of status, the government's own admission during the hearing, they realized, wait a minute, he's actually not removable. We're going to end up having to withdraw that allegation. She wouldn't even let them withdraw the allegation. We got into this big, huge debate, and then she grabbed her phone and left the room for like 10 minutes. And the New York Times were there. Everybody was there. They're like, what in the world's going on? I'm like, I have no idea. And she came in extremely angry, only with her phone, and was like, I'm going to give the government another opportunity to explain to me why they want to dismiss this charge against my client. And I'm thinking, what is going on? That's when my client decided, look, they don't want me here. I'm going to leave. And I kept saying, hold on, let's get into federal court, because the federal judges won't do that. They're appointed for life. And as we see around the country, they're going to follow the law for the most part. You know, most of them are going to follow the law. They could care less which way it leans, in my opinion, because you have Republican judges who are ruling against Trump, and you have Democratic judges who are ruling with Trump. So I think Alireza Derrudy is one of the first times, not in for me in my modern legal career, where I realized, man, the fix is in. And every single immigration attorney around the nation that are doing things like the lawyers on Mahmoud Khalil, who I know, the fix is in from above. There's some direction, or people are scared of their jobs, that they're like, hey, if you rule against this, if you rule against the government, you are going to get fired.
Support comes from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. It's summer, campfires, late night conversations, people swapping stories. But lately, one group is trying to control the whole story, claiming that the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation and pushing their religion into classrooms, into courtrooms, and even your doctor's office. In Arizona, voters just protected abortion rights in the state constitution, but politicians are trying to undermine it anyway. So Texas is pushing bills to force the Ten Commandments into every public school classroom. Seriously. And in Congress, a bill just passed to strip Medicaid coverage for gender-affirming care for all ages. This isn't about personal beliefs. It's about power. And it's all happening under the banner of Christian nationalism. That's where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in. They've been defending church-state separation since 1978 in the courts, in the schools, and wherever religion tries to take the wheel. If you believe government should serve everyone, not just the religious right, then join them. Go to ffrf.us/freedom or text my name, Don, to 511-511 and become a member today. Join us and go to ffrf.us/freedom or text Don to 511-511 now. Because the only story that should run this country is ours, not theirs. Text fees may apply. Support for the Don Lemon Show comes from 120 Life. Did you know that high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? 1 in 2 adults has it, and that's a 50-50 chance you're a walking time bomb. Truly. And as with many families, there's a history of high blood pressure in my own family. My mother has it, my grandmother had it, and so did my sister. It was one of the reasons she was in such poor health. My dad also had diabetes. But here's the good news. You can take control of your blood pressure naturally without relying on Big Pharma. 120 Life is a blend of great tasting superfruit juices that have been shown to actually help lower your blood pressure. It is not just for high blood pressure though. It's also beneficial for other health conditions like diabetes. 120 Life is trusted by healthcare professionals with hundreds of doctors recommending it to help manage blood pressure naturally. It provides visible, measurable changes in blood pressure. You can use a simple monitor at home to track your progress. For a limited time, try 120 Life and save 20% off. Just use the code DON at checkout at 120life.com. 120 Life offers a risk-free trial with a full refund if you don't see lower numbers in 2 weeks. So go to 120life.com and use the code DON to save 20%. There's nothing to lose except your high blood pressure numbers. Go to 120life.com and use the code DON to save 20% off. Remember, you must use the code DON to get this special offer. This is serious. This is your life we're talking about. 120 Life can help. Holy shit. And did the judge ever explain why she walked out? Who
And
she called? What was she doing with the phone? Why she was so angry?
she was so mad at me personally. Like, she was so upset. And it's funny
Was
because
she upset because you presented a good argument? Like, why was she upset with you?
so she came into the hearing about an hour before the hearing. The government had found this document where they realized my client's F1, his student visa, was not out of status. They were wrong. And this whole time they had gotten him arrested in the color of night at 4 a.m, all of this stuff, and they realized, sorry, mea culpa. He's actually not wrong. However, we do think that he needs to be deported anyway. It was just like one of those things. And so when she walks in, she's like, hey, I've read everything, I've done everything, and I find he's removable. And I'm like, whoa, whoa. And then she just starts like, why are you, she just starts attacking me on this. And eventually I finally go, Judge, they are going to dismiss it right now. You're coming in, not even giving us a chance. And then she just goes ballistic on the government, on me, and storms out of the room. And I honestly, I will go on record saying, I think she walked out of the room and was like, what do I do? What do I do? Because now they're going to dismiss this charge. And I'm assuming either her superior or whoever she was talking to said, stall it, make them file it, and do whatever you need to do. It's the exact same thing that they did to Mahmoud Khalil, where they eventually DHS turned to the State Department like, how are we going to deport him? And Rubio writes, he's a detriment, he's a danger to the community, period. I say he is, and that's it. It's the problem is the appeal process in the immigration world is much slower than in the criminal world. And so if you appeal an immigration ruling without being in federal court, you're looking at 9 months to a year and a half. And somebody's going to be detained for 9 months to a year and a half with no criminal history. Like Alireza Derrudy is a Iranian student working on mechanical engineering, a doctorate. He's like the brightest of the bright. And if you've ever met any Iranian students in the United States, they are not political. They don't have anything to do with Palestine. They don't want nothing. They're here they're just in
To get
a
an
world.
education, study, to learn, and to work. I get that. But I mean, look, you're saying something that's kind of similar to some of the things that I have experienced, even in corporate journalism. It's like, well, no, we've got to make room for this, even though we know it's not real. Like we know it's false, or we know that they're lying. And I wonder. So the government was going to dismiss the charge against your client, and the judge was not happy that they wanted to dismiss it. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. I mean, you can
And
look at
even
it.
did they dismiss it? And then he said, "I'm leaving anyways."
They dismissed that charge, and there was a second charge. The shortest version is one charge is, hey, your F1 was revoked, so you're out of status. Your second charge is because your F1's revoked, you're out of status while you're in school. You're violating your conditions because of number one. And all immigration lawyers are like, yeah, number two is bullshit because it's predicated on number one. So that doesn't make any sense. But the government's just double dipping. They dismissed number one. Now he's only left with, hey, you're out of status because of number one. And so I say,
And so number one is gone, so he's out of status. But they said, since you're out of status anyways, we're going to send you.
and
We're going to.
here is the kicker. I turn and look at the DHS lawyer. The judge is out. She's on her phone, pissed off. And I look at him, this guy, and he's this, I hate to say this, he's just this feeble older guy. And he's sitting there, and he's just staring at the ground. And I go, hey, man, you have to dismiss this case. This is absolutely ridiculous. Like the courtroom's full of reporters. I'm like, this is absolutely atrocious. This guy has lost weight. He's here. He's been here for 40 days. He's an Iranian student. Like, dude, pull the plug. It's time to pull the plug. And he starts staring at the ground. And he's like, I felt like that kid who was with the other kid who gets caught smoking, and the parent is like yelling at him, and you want to speak up for the kid because it's like this is uncalled for.
But you're
But you
like
don't
this.
want, yeah, you don't you don't want the parent to start yelling at you, but you're like it's a wrong happening and you can't stop yourself. And he's just staring at the ground. He's like, we're just gonna agree to disagree. I'm like, I don't even know what you mean by that. Like, at least say, oh, I think he violated this or this or this. He had nothing. And the
It
judge,
sounds like the courts and the judges seriously back. We're both from Louisiana, if you know what I'm talking about. Back
yeah,
before civil rights, and even I shouldn't even say before civil rights, but just it sounds like the racism that is experienced by Black people
That's
in the court.
exactly what I'm talking about. And obviously, I didn't have the same experience you did. But as a criminal defense attorney, I started as a public defender in Baton Rouge. Man, I saw it. You're talking about 2004, 2005. I went in the back with a judge, and I'm like listening to the prosecutor and the judge. And I'm like, holy shit, this is really happening. Like, y'all are really full of shit. Y'all actually are racist. Like, oh my God, y'all really are ruling based on this. What the fuck is going on? And
And
I'm
people don't believe that. They think it's like race baiting or that, but it really happens in our courts. And now it's happening with immigrants.
the saddest part is it only comes to light. Why? Because then a white person has to say, wait a minute, this is real. Then it gives validity. I mean, no offense. I'm not trying to knock white
No,
people,
you're right.
but it's
You're
true.
100% right.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's bullshit. And I try to tell people, I try to explain to people all the time in the criminal defense context, but more so in the immigration context. I'm like, it's one thing you hear immigrant advocacy groups come out and people don't listen. And it's really surprising because I was on a run in Brevard, North Carolina last week. I'm on a summer vacation, and there was the day of no kings or whatever. And I looked out there and I saw, and I'm like, okay, this is all white people here fighting for immigrants. These are all the people who are protesting, and white people. I'm like, where are y'all? Where are y'all? How are we combating against the majority rule? The 50.5% that ruled one way. And so, yeah, it's I
Yeah.
don't.
Why are you so animated about this?
Man, because I'm gonna tell you, because in my personal life, I mean, and I don't want to get teary eyed or whatever, but the reality is that I see it every day, man. I see these people every day, and I'm like, I think about Ali Reza Derrudy, and I think about him sitting there, and I'm like, I'm almost angry at him for giving up. I'm like, dude, listen, you have to fucking hold on. I'm gonna get a federal court to let you out. Like, stop. And I knew that because if you take a voluntary departure to Iran, you never come back. That's it. They'll never grant you another F1. It's a rule. If you come back from Iran, you're not getting back. And so I'm holding on, and it's the exact same thing I see with the Guatemalan farmer that they're picking up, with a high school student. I mean, like, congratulations, Trump. You've done a great job in immigration. You're literally depicting you're shooting fish in a barrel, and all you're getting are people who have been here for 40 years, people doing jobs that no one else will do for a lower wage for companies that you own. So it's like, so the rich bring in poor labor to be able to better the rich, and then the minute they need to win an election, they say, oh my God, the problem is the poor labor that we have. It's a farce and a scam, and the people who are getting hurt are people who are too uneducated and don't have enough power politically or economically or socially to be able to do anything about it. And then it's like, I'm fighting the win, because I'm realizing the courts aren't even protecting me anymore. And so you and I are having this meeting, but then I'm like, well, then what? Happens? It's like they're still deporting them with masks on. And it's almost as if, when we had Miranda v. Arizona, you had to remain silent. You have to give them their rights. Otherwise, everything that is found, everything that's said is suppressed, right? It's almost like now we don't even have the law like that. People are like, hey, you can't do that. You can't just go arrest someone without a warrant. And they're like, eh.
Support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from BrickHouse Nutrition. Guys, you should go big on this sale and get stocked up on the best supplements from BrickHouse Nutrition. Their July 4th sale is on, and for a limited time, you could save 25% off everything with the code word Fireworks25. That includes Lean, their #1 selling weight loss supplement. No injections, just real results from studied natural ingredients. It's a great time to slim down for summer. Or you can try Field of Greens. It is the superfruit and vegetable drink that literally promises your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back. See, it's risk-free. So Field of Greens, by the way, happens to be my personal favorite. It is all natural, and I get all the nutrition I need from a bunch of different vegetables and fruits. Literally, everything from BrickHouse Nutrition is incredible, and I hear listeners rave about their collagen peptides, and beauty experts swear that collagen is the fountain of youth for your skin and hair. So guys, let's go. Let's get stocked up on their incredible supplements, okay? Go to brickhousenutrition.com and use the code word Fireworks25 for 25% off. This sale's only on for a few days, and I know these products are gonna sell out, okay? So that's BrickHouseNutrition.com, BrickHouseNutrition.com. You don't have, it's right, you have your right to remain silent anymore. None of that shit. It's just come with me.
Come with
Yeah.
me. And hey, and like you have all these people filming, right now, this guy's now in removal proceedings because he's filming in Atlanta. I did a TikTok about it. I'm like, now this guy who's filming ICE to say, hey, we need to see what's going on with raids. They're like, oh, actually, you're coming with us now because you're filming and obstructing justice and unlawful assembly. We're going to put you in removal proceedings now. And this guy's a legal permanent resident. I would have thought, the irony is, I would have thought that these right-wing crazy MAGA people, at least they could find themselves based on, well, wait a minute, I do believe in freedom of speech. I do believe in assembly. I do believe in protest. Because guess what? I protested so hard, I broke into the United States Congress. I would think that they would have that baseline where they're willing to protect people and their rights. And I think now, just like when you see Hexeth or somebody on national TV, it's like the ultimate, I hate to use that term, but it's like the ultimate gaslighting. It's like completely reversal. They're like, well, actually, no, you do have a right as long as you agree with us. If you don't agree with us, you should not be able to protest,
Right.
do anything. Sorry.
Well, and if you're brown, but are the same things happening to, let's just say, Europeans who in this country who may have overstayed their visa, and I'm speaking in generalities here. Are they getting the same?
Yes, not the same though, right? Because look at this farce, right? Now we have South Africans who are subject to genocide and they come into this country, and then yet we've shut down all other procedures.
There's no genocide though. That's fake.
Listen, this is absolutely insane. And this is the part I'm talking about, Don. The reality is that you have a president who says, hey, South Africans are suffering genocide. They should come into this country. And you have a lot of people who are like, this is ridiculous. How do you equate that with Venezuela, Cuba, multiple other African countries, that people are suffering, South Sudan, all Yemen, all of these countries. And he just says, I don't care. And
yeah, look, Adam Serwer wrote an essay in The Atlantic during the first Trump administration. It was titled "The Cruelty is the Point." Now, hearing you talk about all these cases, I mean, it's hard to disagree with Adam Serwer on this. I mean, what do you think with Stephen Miller and Donald Trump? Is the cruelty the point here?
I think you're talking about just instill the fear and just make sure that people, there's such how could it not be, how could that not be a deterrent for immigration, whether legal or otherwise, that, hey, if you get caught up and you have a problem in immigration here, it's very possible if you can't be returned to your home country, we might send you to South Sudan. And also, if you're a male and you have a tattoo, it's more than likely you're going to get sent to El Salvador. And by the way, in that El Salvadorian prison, there are 10,000 gang members who are going to rape you and who are going to control you and possibly torture and murder you. So I'm just saying, if you're in this country and you have any problems with immigration, because this is not just people who have come in undocumented. These are also people who have gone to the border at the port of entry, like the gay hairdresser out of in California from Venezuela, who's like, hey, I fear my life. Like, LGBTQ community is not protected in Venezuela at all. And then he gets sent to El Salvador. And I've seen the videos where he's literally like just saying, please, I just want my mom. And it's terrible to imagine this guy comes to the United States to fleeing persecution and asylum and torture, and then gets sent to a concentration camp where there is torture and all of this. It's ridiculous.
David, I want to continue to follow some of the cases, and can you come back and please update us? We appreciate you so much for coming on and bringing light to all of this. And again, I want you to stay in touch, okay? And thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Don. Sorry for going off so much, man.
No, don't apologize. I think people should be animated about this. This is something they should be animated about or go off about. Okay. Thank you, David Rozas.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.